Good morning, everybody, and welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing for Wednesday, the 19th of March. I'm Derek Clark, and it brings me great joy to say that we're joined by Stevie Clifford this morning. How goes it, Stevie?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Believe it or not, the car was needing defrosted this morning. Cost me a couple of minutes on the school run, but it's actually quite a nice day, so I'm going to get the dog out. I'm going to enjoy this, Derek, and then I'm going to get the dog out and have a wee bit of a walk with her. So, yeah, good morning to everyone. I hope everyone is good. I'm still flying, Derek. I'm still in a good mood.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's amazing what Sunday can do for the old spirit. Stevie's been smiling more than he ever has in God knows how long. So, yeah, it's been good fun.
Yeah, you and me both. Before we get stuck into the Rangers news, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors, S1 Jobs. If you're looking to hand in your transfer request, then head over to S1 Jobs and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh, the surrounding areas as well, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. So start your search today. And remember, folks, if you want to get your comments in to me and Stevie, you have to be a subscriber to the channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And yeah, remember, it's totally free. But if you want to get your point across, you have to be a subscriber. Right, we'll kick off. I'm intrigued to find out how your experience was at Parkhead on Sunday, Stevie. But before we get to that, Vaclav Cerny is the man of the moment at the moment. He's who knows if he'll be in a bit of hot water with the governing body. Let's hope not, because it would be an absolute joke if he was reprimanded for a bit of over-exuberance, shall we say, after Hamza's goal on Sunday. But he is away on international duty with Czech Republic. They're playing the Faroe Islands and Gibraltar, I believe. He's been speaking to a publication over in his homeland about his Rangers' future and where he sees himself beyond the summer. A publication called Sport. He was asked about whether he would like to remain at Rangers beyond his loan spell. He says, "I definitely do, but there are so many aspects that I can't control. All I can do is be the best I can and keep up my form and numbers." And he says there's no time for that, but with regards to if he's considering his options, we play every 3 days. I don't have an option. That's the only official one. I don't know what will happen. And he was asked as well about Rangers in the summer. He says Rangers will be going through some changes in the summer. There's talk of new owners buying a large percentage of the shares, but nothing is confirmed. It's just been talked about and written about in the media. It wouldn't be right to discuss something with someone who doesn't know what will happen in 2 months. It's too early for that. And then he was asked as well about his contract situation with Wolfsburg and whether he's had any contact with them. He says, no, there's zero contact. Who knows if they have Scottish channels? So that's what he had to say. So it certainly made it clear that I don't think he sees himself at Wolfsburg long term. But that point about would you like to stay at Rangers? I definitely do. We've discussed Vaclav Cerny in the two previous videos. Stevie, I got Johnny and Chris's take on it, whether you'd be looking to keep him next season. What's your view on it?
Absolutely, Derek. Absolutely. I think he's a moments player, but he's shown himself to be a very big moments player, and I love that. And look, he's you ready for this? He's scooshed it, hasn't he? So,
I was waiting for that.
I've got nothing else, by the way. That's all I've got. Listen,
thank you and good night.
He's a really good player. I remember saying right back at the start when we were talking about him, he went through a wee bit of a rough spell and he was getting a wee bit of criticism for a couple of games. And I said that I really liked him and I wasn't sure why, if it was just because he was so naturally right-sided, was I blinded by the fact that, we haven't had a righty in a wee while, and, it was nice to have somebody out there that we really kind of got fond of. But the truth is, Derek, when I first saw him, I got a really good impression from him. I got a good feeling. I thought he could be a good player. I remember one of his really early goals, Motherwell at Hampden, where he cut inside on his left foot and he bent it right in the top corner. And I thought, this boy can play. And I'm really glad that he's went from strength to strength. I would love to keep him. I would love somebody else on the right-hand side to pressure him as well, and just, Ross McCausland to come on and be able to kick on a wee bit. He hasn't had much game time, which has been a bit of a shame. and I think Cerny could do with a hand because at times he looked really tired. But I think in terms of keeping him, absolutely. Really want him to stay. He's a ball carrier. He can have big moments. He's got a wonderful left foot. He's not beyond criticism in terms or critique. I don't think criticism's right. You know, there's moments where you think, you know, he should be doing this and that. But, you know what I mean? I think that's normal. I think even the top players in the world have moments like that. And I'm referring maybe when you think about the kind of back pass one on Sunday, you would have thought, could he have done things differently? But he'll know that as well. And the most important thing is, I don't think he hides away.
No.
And he's got a lot going for him. So I enjoy watching him. He's a bit of a favourite of the fans. He's certainly a favourite of mine. And yeah, I would really love for him to stay. Absolutely would love for him to stay. How much are you talking?
Yeah, that's a big question, isn't it?
See if we could get £4 or £5 million, then I would love to do that kind of deal. I would be all for that. Could we do 6, 7, 8? I think that's a lot of pressure because he's got great numbers this year. But what happens if better players come in and then his numbers go down because other players' numbers are going up? And I think we need to balance the kind of realism with him. He's had an outstanding season. You know, he's going to be numbers are going to be ridiculously high for a wide man, for a wide forward. And I would love to see him stay there. No brainer for me, anyway, certainly. But would I like to see us pay that really high amount for anyone? I'm not sure. It's just because he's had such a good season, I wouldn't want to see like Ryan Kent, when they paid $7 million, expectations kind of became flawed a wee bit. We were buying what we already had, and then people were saying, $7 million, he's not good enough. So that's where it becomes a bit problematic for me, because our expectation levels will get judged. But if we can pick him up for a deal that suits everyone, then yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. I've been a fan of him. It's quite remarkable, really, if you remember. He's having a bit of a hard time, wasn't he, at the start? The Lyon game was a real watershed for him, where he missed great chance and it really affected him. But I mean, fair play to Philippe Clement, I think, at the time, because he did have a word with him and he got him back on the straight and narrow. I think he was having a bit of aggro with the fans. He was getting a bit frustrated as well, but he certainly turned the fan base around, and he's enjoying his football a lot more at Rangers now as well, and he's producing results. I think we're seeing the best of him in a Barry Ferguson team as well, playing that free role. He caused a lot of damage to Fenerbahce, of course, and against Celtic, that frustrated the life out of me, that chance at Parkhead. He really needs to know how to use his right foot more often, I think, instead of taking too many touches. That's my only real bugbear of him. He tends to hold on to the ball a little too long for my liking. But if Rangers can get a deal over the line for Vaclav Cerny, I'll be all over that. The right wing position has been a problematic position for Rangers for years, Stevie. And you mentioned that Ross McCausland, he hasn't really had much of a look in, but that's because Cerny has been so good at this point in time. And if you can get him tied up, then that would be a position that you wouldn't necessarily concern yourselves with, because let's be honest, there are other areas of the pitch that need a bit of work in the summer. But if you can concentrate and get that sorted, then I think that would be great. Just your opinion on Watergate. What do you make of it? Do you think it's a mountain out of a molehill?
It's funny because Johnny and Chris have given you really diplomatic answers. I just think it's a load of absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
For years, Derek, for absolute years, they have lorded it over us. Griffiths, Brown, Edward the other striker, Dembele, that we've had all his comments online. I've seen Alan Thompson talk about us at the weekend, and all of a sudden they're up in arms because Dujon Sterling uses a wee bad word, when the abuse that we take is ridiculous. They have ridiculed us and tied scarves, wore police hats, wiped their nose on our badge, all sorts of stuff they've done, and we've just to get on with it. But a scoosh of wee water. By the way, Cerny will not get done by the police. That's an absolute nonsense.
I would love to see. I was thinking about that. I mean, when you hear a police probe, does someone actually call 999? How does it work? Where the police can
somebody would make a complaint about that, and the police have to then investigate it. But you have to prove intent and everything else, and it's not possible. It's a load of nonsense.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty confident that'll be proven to be a load of nonsense, and it should be. Look, I think it's hilarious how Rangers celebrating at that corner got pelted with dozens of bottles and all sorts of stuff, and we're whinging about somebody scooshing a wee bit of water. I think, the fact of the matter is it's a derby game. You want that passion. You want these moments. When they happen, just get on with it. It should stop when it goes way over, when you're throwing stuff at people and everything else. And our fans have been guilty in previous games as well. We can't sit here and pretend that everything's wonderful.
Yeah,
it needs to be stopped from absolutely everyone. But if you're going to hurl abuse and everything else at players, and then get all upset and offended, standing shouting, "I'm the victim here," because you got scooshed by a wee bit of water, then come on. And I found it funny as well that the celebration police were out there, because I've sat in press conferences and I've sat in the media room and I have listened to Motherwell, Dundee, Queen's Park, all these
everywhere,
right, in away grounds, right. And I've heard them having parties in their dressing room. Do you want me to go knock the door and say, "Look, I'm sorry, lads, but Chris Sutton says that you're in 10th position and we're up in second, so really you shouldn't be celebrating this because you're 30 points behind"? Come on, Derek, come on. Honest to goodness, man. People need to just get a wee bit of a grip. Celtic are miles clear in the league. They're going to win. Just you know what I mean? It's a game
for what it is. Yeah,
suck it up and get on with it. You didn't perform well. We did. That's it.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that, the sane-minded Celtic fans know it's a bit of a joke. But it's Rangers have won an Old Firm game when we're talking about daft things like this afterwards. But I very much hope and expect it'll just peter out and we can concentrate on actual footballing matters. But there you go. Jim with the point, he says, is the sale of water guns shot up in the last 2 days. Rangers are missing a trick, by the way. If they don't bring out a Super Soaker range or a Vaclav Cerny water bottle range, they will sell by the shed loads. And Kev, we like a bit of comedy in the morning, he says, mountain out of a molehill or a river out of a puddle. So we all like a bit of humour in the morning. Thank you, Kev, for tuning in. Let's bring this up, Stevie. Absolutely buckled myself laughing when I seen this over the weekend. You were one of the lucky 2,400 odd supporters that were in the stadium on Sunday, and it looked like a right good away end. Herded in there 2 hours before kickoff, which was an absolute nonsense. The atmosphere looked terrific. I love the videos that have been sent and doing the rounds on social media prior to kickoff, never mind it during the game. But I can only imagine what the limbs would have been like, not only for the Raskin and Diamandi's goals, but when Hamza belted that into the top corner. It must have been something else. But this is the photo, folks. Look at Stevie looking happy as Larry in there amongst the Rangers fans. Absolutely superb stuff. What was your experience like, Stevie?
It was so funny. I've got pelters for that online. Honestly, see the opposing fans, our friends from the other side, Baldy, Big,
from the home team.
So it's quite funny. Bring it on, because I'm loving it. So thanks to Willie Vass for that. That was a cracking picture, quite funny. A few of the Rangers staff got some good pictures of me as well that I'll keep to myself. And mid-celebration and things. But Joe, it's funny. We were right down the front, so the UB came in and we moved back a couple to let the boys go at the front. And I was with Jim and Mando from Rhino Express, our sponsors. I was with them. It was great. But I was with Graham Barron, Connor's dad. He was on my other side. And then Nacho Novo appeared just on my left, and we were having such a laugh. So I was like, Nacho, you're going to get me killed, because once they recognise you, which they did, they're going to look to your right-hand side and see the big fat bald guy, and I'm going to get pelters as well. And sure enough, I did. And I was like, at least you scored against them here, so you could have a laugh with it. But Nacho was funny as well. So it was a really good day. Really, really, really great trip. Atmosphere was incredible. Away support. You know what, Derek? You'll know yourself when you're in doing what we do for so long, 3-4 years. I've been doing the kind of gantry, and you forget about the fan experience. You miss it. And I've only been to sporadic kind of away games, some grounds that don't let you in and things like that. And I was at Kilmarnock earlier on the season, St Johnstone earlier on the season, where I wasn't let in, and it was nice. But that atmosphere on Sunday was absolutely ridiculous. The limbs were incredible. So, and what, the atmosphere, honestly, the fans were just absolutely tremendous. We shout out as well. See, for the boy that had the megaphone as part of the UB, there was a time just after the second goal when it went to 2-2 where everybody was a bit flat and a bit concerned.
Yeah.
Boy on the mic was incredible on the megaphone, getting everybody back up, get behind the team, let's do it, let's get behind them. And then off the crowd went again. So it really was, honestly, an unbelievable day. 27 years, Derek, since I've seen a victory there. My first ever one was the 50-50 split when McCoy scored and Alberts scored as well. Scottish Cup, yeah. And I was only, I want to say, I worked it out the other day. That was 97. So I think 97, 98. I think I worked out I was 14 at the time. So fast forward 27 years. And I've seen 9 defeats, including 5-0 defeats, where we've, really got an absolute hiding. And so to enjoy that moment was good. And it was funny because I met so many people that I hadn't seen in ages beforehand. And they were like, what do you think of today? And I was like, I've got a good feeling. My gut feeling's good. And I've got a considerable gut, Derek, so my gut feeling was good. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, yeah, smashing day. Smashing day.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I had a funny feeling myself we would get a sort of Ugo Ehiogu type Rangers performance and result, and it turned out that way as well. So, fair play to them all. Like you say, I've been lucky enough to be in the away end on a few occasions. European games this season. I was at Malmo, Nice and Istanbul. You can't beat it. Very rarely get the chance to be sat in amongst the Rangers fans. So it really is an absolute joy. And there's no fan base like it, let's be honest. And certainly on Sunday, I was jealous just a tad of seeing the fans there. You can't beat a late winner in that fixture as well. It must have been really quite something seeing Hamza. And at this point here from Multiple Man 78 says at 2-2, they assumed they had us beat, but we summoned up one last effort. Superb. That for me is key in this. I feared the worst myself, but Barry and the coaching staff deserve great credit, and the players, of course, as well, because they are the ones on the pitch. But they didn't crumble, they didn't fold, and they came back and got the winner. I think it's a huge goal. Now, we know, as you touched on, Stevie, the league is out of sight, but that's now 3 games in a row that Rangers have matched Celtic and scored 3 goals against them. They've scored 3 goals in 4 of the last 5 games. Celtic fans getting a bit restless about Brendan Rodgers in these fixtures.
That's quite funny to see their reaction. Concentrate on ourselves. When it went 2-2, I think there was a realisation from all of us in the away end that this might get a bit tricky.
Yeah.
And we all expected them to come and kind of swamp us. Look, Derek, I'm not going to sit here. Celtic are a good side. They've got good players. Kuhn, Jota, Maeda are all extremely dangerous. I think there's some in their team that aren't as good as they like to make out. Alistair Johnson, Carter Vickers, etc. aren't what they think they are. I think that their midfield isn't what it used to be either, in terms of that used to be untouchable, that midfield. I think that Matt O'Reilly's departure has been really weakened them, like really, really weakened them. Because he used to spank them in against us all the time. And he used to be such a threat. I think they've lost that. And I think that when you combine that with Nico Raskin's kind of form lately and Diamandi's willingness to play. And do you remember the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago? And there was a comment about taking Diamandi out. And I said, leave him in. Because in a 3, I think he's really naturally suited on the left-hand side. I think you've seen that now against Fenerbahce and against Celtic. I think he's struggling a wee bit fitness-wise, but I think that's where we won the game, Derek, in midfield. And when they started to pick up in the second half, you could see that we were tiring and those spaces were coming. But what people maybe didn't see, and those at the game will be able to back me up on this, when it went 2-2, the management were superb. Barry was right on the touchline. McCann was behind them. Dodds was behind them. Compact, sit in, dig in, slow it down. They started getting fouls. They started messing about with Celtic's desire to play quickly, especially from throw-ins. And there was a lot of wee dark art stuff that people maybe wouldn't have seen. Like, they went to take a quick throw and Bailey Rice just booted the ball away, and then he continued and he got a wee lecture for it and he was running away laughing and stuff like that. And there was a lot of that going on that Rangers haven't done before. And it slowed it down. And then when Dessers had the chance that Conor Barron ended up getting a wee half chance from as well, I thought we're going to still get one chance here because they aren't really secure. And the defence all day was pretty much wide open. So when it did come to Hamza, it was funny because Thursday night I thought he had a similar chance and he tried to side foot it and the goalie just tipped it wide against Fenerbahce. And this time when he got it, I was just the shout from all around us was leather it. And by goodness, he certainly did. And it was one of those ones, Derek, you know, you've been to so many games. See, as soon as he hits it, your head goes, that's got a chance.
Yeah.
Your head tells you straight away because you know, don't you? You know if it's going wide, you know what to expect. And as soon as he hit it, it was like freeze frame for me because I looked at it, I'm hitting it, and then I just went straight to the goal, waiting for it to bulge, and it duly did. And it's that split second, and before you know it, Nacho Novo's on your back, and limbs are everywhere, and you know it's bedlam. And it was what a feeling. I've missed it so much, honestly. Being in amongst the away support, being in amongst the supporters like that, just what a feeling.
Yeah. Thanks to Multiple Man for correcting me on, I said it 4 in the last 5. Rangers have scored 3 goals. It's 4 of the last 7. I did forget the Scottish Cup final and the game where Lundstrom was sent off. Try not to remember those. And he also says, if Cerny scores against them, he should do the Gaza Euro 96 celebration. If he doesn't do that at any game in the future, then somebody has to have a word with Vaclav Cerny. But yeah, we'd love to see that getting belted out in the next game. Of course, Rangers have a couple of matches. Dens Park next for Dundee, and then a home game before Athletic Bilbao come to Ibrox. But yeah, very much looking forward to those matches. There's an interesting point that came in. You sort of touched on it earlier with Vaclav Cerny, Stevie, and whether Rangers would be able to afford to bring him into the club. Jack Murphy with a point says, morning guys, if the takeover happens, what do you think is a realistic transfer budget for the summer? Do you think Rangers will spend a lot of money in the summer, do you reckon? I think Chris said yesterday he expects a marquee signing to come in, given that the new ownership and the likes. Do Rangers need, given that they've... I mean, I don't think there's much between Rangers and Celtic. It's just a matter of consistency. I think it's more of a squad depth situation with Rangers and bringing in more quality to contend with the exploits and the Scottish, the nature of the Scottish game, of course. But do you expect Rangers to splash the cash a bit? Again, Rangers don't necessarily need to sell key assets to raise funds, you'd imagine, with the new ownership on the horizon. But what are you expecting in the summer, Stevie?
Billions and billions to be spent. No, listen. I think what this has demonstrated in the last few weeks, and even if you go back to the New Year game in Europe and stuff like that, is we have a certain type of player that when teams open up and play football against us, we're absolutely fine and we can do okay.
Yep.
The issue we have is finding players that are good enough to take the split chances, good enough to make the right transitional kind of moments. And we need players that can affect the game, like in tight games where teams are really sat in. We don't necessarily have that profile of player. So realistically, I think we've got 8 to 10 players there where you can say that's a good core. You look at Diamande, Raskin, bar in the midfield, you would keep all them. Your back, your back four, Suter, etc. There's going to be players there. Butland, I still think, solid enough with better players around them, although he went through a horrible wee period of chucking everything into his net. They've got options up front. Eagleman, Danny's still kicking about. Would they sell Cyril Dessers because there's going to be interest in him? Would they decide to cash in? There is options there, Derek, but it needs a different type of profile. We need a physicality that we've missed.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is a definite. Do they need like a powerhouse number 6, a strong centre half, strong left back? I would suggest we do. Do we need then a clinical 9, a couple of solid wingers, even with Cerny? I'd suggest we do. So there is key positions there, but it needs to be a different type of profile than what we've seen come in recent transfer windows.
Yeah.
Because we have a I'm trying to explain this without sounding terrible. And Mac is right. We do pace, absolutely. Yeah. I'm kind of including that in the wings and bringing in strikers and stuff like that. That's where that would come. But we need a different type of profile, Derek. We've had technical small players, etc., coming in that are maybe like your likes of Diamandi that are so suited to Europe in games like Sunday, but we don't have the type of profile that when we play Motherwell, we're able to win games like that because we struggle. And it's not a criticism, and it's not meant to be disparaging towards Motherwell. They've done great against us. That's absolutely fine. No issues with that at all from their point of view. I'm talking about from a Rangers point of view. We need a different kind of profile. So I think there's lots of work to be done in the summer. In terms of money spent, realistically, what would I like to be spent in the summer? I think we can get 10 million from players that might go out, like Dessers, like Yilmaz, I think maybe. I think there'll be another couple in there that might go when you think about Cifuentes and things like that. Yeah. Could you get a couple of £1 million? Could that total up? If so, I would hope that we would spend in the region of around 25 to 30 million. And that's where I think we would need to be with 10 coming in. And I think that's a hope. And if you look at other summers where we've spent without investment 15, 20, 15 million, I'm thinking that maybe that could be around about where we are. Now, that's not based on anything. That's just a hope as a supporter, Derek. I don't want people saying Stevie says that's not the case at all. I would love that figure to be spent really, really well. And that's the kind of money I think we need.
Interesting. A few comments coming in. Love this. Gordon Rogue says we need some Terry Hurlock's battlers. He wouldn't last 2 minutes in the modern game, but I know what you mean. Guys like that.
That's what I was saying about the number 6. Do we need a really physical 6 that would let Raskin and Diamandi play at times where they've maybe not been able to in the past, So it's a different profile. That's what I'm trying to get. There'll be times where if you brought in somebody like that, he wouldn't be needed. But there would be games where he 100% would be. And it's getting that. That's the problem for me at the moment. We don't have a profile change in the type of player we have.
Yeah.
And that's why when it comes to Fenerbahce away, Nice away, Olympia, we do so well because we're a good technical team. But I don't feel that we've got the other side to match our game, which is completely different.
Yeah. I love this from Curry. He says Matondo, Dowell and Davis will be like new signings.
Yeah, for Birmingham they will. Yeah.
yeah. Actually, I've not
go down there.
Yeah, I know Dowell and Davis are doing well down there at the Blues. They're going to get back up into the Championship. I've not been keeping track on Rabbi Matondo and how he is getting on over
Injured.
there. Is he?
Yeah, of course he is.
Deary me. I've seen Kemar Roof is injured as well. He just joined Derby. I think he lasted about 8 minutes before breaking down. I think his body is telling him that it may be time to call an end to proceedings. But can't catch a break, can Kemar. And no surprise to see Rabbi on the sidelines again. But we'll wrap up there for now. A big thank you to you all for tuning into the show as ever. It is very much appreciated. And thank you as ever. Big thanks to Stevie as well. And when you next on, Stevie, you on later on in the week, or have you had the shout from the boss man yet, or when you next on?
Boss man Joshua just told me today, but I have told him that I'm available for selection on Thursday and Friday, and I'm available for call-up. So I'm days off, Derek, so I'll just be sitting about. So I'll wait and see if I join you later on in the week. At this moment, I have not been selected, Derek. Benched by the boss man. But that could, as well as I do, that changes multiple times.
Yes.
At very short notice. So,
yeah, it certainly does that. Let's hope we get you back on before the end of the week. But yeah, thank you for tuning in as ever, folks. Those of you that are extra members, me and Joshua recorded a tactics piece on the game on Sunday yesterday. We looked at the corner routines, the aggressive pressing. So go and take a look at that. Tomorrow, I'll be on with Johnny and Joshua, the OG show, and we'll be discussing Barry Ferguson in detail and the impact he's made and what the future holds for him. You wanted to jump in there, Stevie?
I did, just to say how good that tactical bit was. Joshua put out an article yesterday, and I know that we spent a whole lot of time whinging about this, but they've been in, 3 to 4 weeks as a management team. I think they've scored from 2 corners already, but you've seen it on Sunday. Balogun had a header which almost caused another goal. It's the marginal things that we have missed. We spent a year and a half under previous management just giving up set pieces, just chucking it in and hoping somebody would header it at a goal and wondering why it wasn't working. Now we've got guys that have been in only 3-4 weeks that have taught them really simple, basic stuff that's already working. And we ourselves wonder, or spent so much time talking about the fact that we weren't getting those marginal gains. That was the whole frustration for me over previous management. Don't need to go back into it, but I just think that what Barry, Neil, and the team, Derek, I think what they've done in 3 to 4 weeks genuinely has been very impressive. I'm delighted for them. And I subscribe to the fact that this was mentioned to me a very long time ago. And the more I've thought about it the last 3-4 years, the more I think it's true. I'm not necessarily sure that Rangers need a fancy coach that might not work, because you've seen really good coaches. Philip Clement's a good manager. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's a good coach. Michael Beale's a good coach on things that they've done in the game. Look further back, Warburton, etc., etc. These guys are all coaches, but they all come with a specific style of a 4-2-3-1. They're passing it a bit. It doesn't really work here. That's where I would be really reluctant to go to somebody like Russell Martin, who would do the same thing and we would expect different results. Whereas a figurehead manager, I
was going to say that, yep,
right, who's able to know what it's all about, take the brunt of it, be demanding, which I think is really important. The difference in James Tavernier in 3-4 weeks is extraordinary under Barry. I'm not saying Barry to get it. That's not the point here. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying to you is, when we talk about different profiles of players, Derek, I think it might be a really good discussion on one of these shows to do we need a different profile of manager rather than the same one and repeat the same mistakes? That would be my biggest takeaway and kind of discussion point. I think it's worthy of at least looking at and talking about for sure. But I think Barry's done great. Really proud of him. And buzzing for just the kind of uptake, because we were in the doldrums, and to be able to do the wee fine margin gains and stuff. Everybody should go and read Joshua's piece, because it's really, really interesting, and we'll tune in to see your show as well, Derek, because I find these things really interesting. I like looking at things like that after you've been at games and stuff and thinking, did I pick it up at the time? Was it relevant? I don't know if other people like doing that, but that's what I kind of like doing. So it's well worth checking out.
Well, Joshua looks at the game differently to me and you and the majority of Rangers fans, I would say. It is very interesting indeed to see how Rangers were able to attack Celtic from set pieces. It's a massive part of the game, set pieces, and it was a real bugbear of mine. The lack of work that it looked like Rangers were doing on the training ground when it came to games. So work is now being done on it, and it's paid dividends. Of course, that goal on Sunday is a clear example of that. So fair play to the coaching staff for that, and long may it continue. Right, we'll wrap up there. Big thanks to you all as ever, and we'll speak to you later on. Bye for now.